Hi guys, Graham here again from Bainbridge Technology, your leaders in power products. Today I'd just like to quickly talk about circuit breakers, and in particular these resettable circuit breakers, which are used in a lot of situations in caravans, boats, four-wheel drives, canopies and that sort of thing. There are a couple of things to keep an eye out with these type of circuit breakers. There are obviously better quality ones than some as well. There are some rather cheap, nasty ones getting around. The biggest thing that we see with these is the voltage, getting a fairly high voltage drop across the circuit breaker, and generally in your cheaper ones. I had a customer the other day where we went out to it and there was over a volt difference between the input and the output side of these. Now, people don't actually realise this. There is actually really an input and an output side of these. It doesn't matter either way. So it is actually directional, and you'll actually see, you won't see it from here, but I can see it on here. So at the bottom here, this one says auxiliary and load on here, and up the top this one says battery line. So in other words, as you're reading this top here should be connected directly to the battery side, and this side should go to your loads and or to a board where you're getting power in from your, say, solar controller or AC or DC charger, for instance. And that's exactly what was happening with this customer's one that we looked at the other day. He had well over 14 volts coming into this side, and very low 13 volt coming out on this side. So what was happening is the batteries were never getting charged because the voltage was not getting above 13.2, 13.3 in here. So there was over a volt, I think it was about 1.1 or nearly 1.2 volt voltage drop between there and there. So therefore then we replaced it out and put a good quality one in for him, and problem solved. Now he'd been racking his brain out for a few weeks trying to work out why his batteries weren't charging, and he took it home and plugged an AC charger and went directly to the batteries, and they charged up, went into float, went into everything like that. So charged up, went through their absorption and float mode, but you could not do it from the internal charging of the van, whether it be the DC to DC, the internal AC charger and the solar charger. And that's what I first quickly sort of ticked out and thought, well, hang on, if you put an external charger directly to the battery and it's charging up, why aren't any of the sources on the input side charging it? So I thought, well, they're going through a board that was made up with all these different components and everything that he had put on this van, going through a circuit breaker to basically down to his battery and to some other components. So yeah, we just sort of tracked it and went, okay, well his AC charge is putting out 14.2 volts. Let's go down and follow that track down. It went down to a rail of MIDI fuses that went down to like a buzz bar straight into here, and on this side we had the 14.25 or whatever it was at, and only the 13.0, 13.1 on this side. So straight in with a voltage drop. As soon as we changed it over, bang, he rang me about 2 hours later, had it on charge. On the way home he could see that his DC to DCs were putting in nearly 50 amps into the batteries, because he's got a fairly 230 amp DC to DCs in there. And that was doing it, and then he dropped the voltage back down to, the state of charge back down to 80%. We ran his aircon for a little while, and then tried it on his AC charger, and that was putting in 100 amps because he's got an inverter charger in there with a fairly decent sized charger, and everything then charged perfectly just because of one faulty little circuit breaker. That was no fault, like you could open it and then close it, and it would click up, do everything it was doing, but just internally they're obviously not right, and was getting too much of a voltage drop, so the batteries were getting charged. So that's something to keep in mind out if you ever have any of these sorts of things. What I'm trying to do with all these little videos that I've been putting together is to help people, try and check sometimes out of the ordinary, because you look at that and go, oh, well, everything's fine, it hasn't tripped, everything's good, that's whatever. And the first thing they think of is my batteries are no good, they can't accept charge. Well, if they'll charge from one device but not another device, you've got to ask yourself why. And it sometimes can be, as I said, little things like that. I've already touched it on a previous video. We've also had issues with voltage drops or mainly with the battery isolators and the selectors, with the cables coming loose or the connections coming loose on the back, little things like that. So they can ruin your weekend or ruin your week, or if you're lucky enough to be on a lap of Australia, and especially if you're in the middle out back, because that generally is where we get phone calls from people having issues and wanting us to try and help them out, and they're in the middle of the Kingsleys and WA, and there's not a lot of help there on the side of the road. So these are little things that you can help look for yourself and try and bypass and get fixed straight away, keep you on the road without having to drive back to major cities to have someone look at it and go, oh, it's just simply this. So anyway, until next time, bye for now.